On the southern tip of Staten Island lies Tottenville, a community whose history has always been tied to the water. Today, when the tide pulls back, the shoreline reveals wide stretches of sand and tide pools, showing small signs of life that were once uncommon in this bay. David Lindman has been coming here since he was young, watching how the shoreline changes and what this says about the water.
I've been studying the marine life in Staten Island for, I'd say, most of my all of my life. I mean, since I was like, my father used to take me for walks on the beach.
The water was heavily polluted then. Sewage treatment was limited and industrial runoff affected the bay for decades.
You can go to the beach without getting tar on your feet and all kinds of things that would wash up that you wouldn't really want to be in the water. There's been an amazing difference. Staten Island's marine life's pretty diverse. Crustaceans, mollusks.
Now he's able to find and track horseshoe crabs, small snails, predatory mollusks, and on occasion an oyster along the tide line.
If you were to dig down, you would find dead oysters, and that's what made the old oyster reefs, was just like ages and ages of oysters.
Those reefs once supported one of the most productive oyster regions in the world, shaping Tottenville's early maritime work and daily life along the shoreline. At Conference House Park, John Kilcullen oversees South Shore Parks and works to protect this landscape.
The town that the oyster built is Tottenville. The town developed with shipbuilding for oyster skiffs and boats, oyster baskets, so it sustained the economy so that the residents of Staten Island could harvest the oysters.
Like many waterfront communities in New York City, Staten Island came face to face with Hurricane Sandy in 2012, a storm that left homes and the shoreline damaged and vulnerable. But it also opened the door to new ideas for protecting the coast, including efforts that could help support the return of oysters to these waters. One of those efforts is the Living Breakwaters project, built just off the coast of Tottenville on Raritan Bay. Designed after Sandy, it aims to reduce wave impact while creating new habitat in the bay, and was completed in 2024.
It creates the physical barrier to keep water from just slamming into the coastline, but also creating microhabitats, tidal pools that helps reestablish marine life. Oysters need to be above, and they need to have a substrate to grow in. So this is a twofold project to allow the oysters to establish, and then the small fish to establish, and creating an artificial reef.
But a recently approved frack gas pipeline proposal has renewed concern at Staten Island and the progress made in the water. Governor Hochul has now granted state approval for the Northeast Supply Enhancement Pipeline project, a plan that had been rejected multiple times in the past. Kim Fratchek is the director of Sane Energy Project, which has opposed the pipeline for years.
We previously have rejected in the years 2018, 2019, and 2020 because it would have poisoned our water. Our New York State Department of Environmental Conservation told us that it broke our state water quality laws. I've talked to parents in Staten Island who say, I grew up here and I was never able to swim here as a little kid. And now I'm able, because of the Clean Water Act, and now they can take their children there and swim and play on the beaches and enjoy their waterfront. And this pipeline will now dredge up all of those toxins that have been remediating, and those will go onshore.
In a public notice, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation said the project can comply with state water quality standards if specific conditions are met. National Grid, which would connect to the pipeline once it reaches New York, said the project is intended to maintain reliability for customers in Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island while meeting the needs of its gas network. But locals in Staten Island like John are worried that years of recovery and restoration will go to waste.
We've come so far to create a thriving habitat to come in and stir up to lay a pipe. And this is not a simple little 1-inch pipe. It's a serious endeavor, and we as a Staten Islander are not going to benefit from this. And this is not looking at other alternatives to achieve that energy.
For many who live and work along the bay, the concern is whether progress made in the water can continue as new decisions are made about its future.